Cochran and Coach Starzy. We'll start with questions for Mark Cochran and let him get out of here, and then we'll go with an opening statement with Coach Starzy and then questions.
Mark, obviously you're not on the defensive end of all this, but when they have those goals off face-offs and whatnot, did that kind of put you guys back on your heels a little bit when putting together 2 and 5 seconds, 2 and 4 seconds of offense and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely frustrating coming from an offensive player. You can't really get in the rhythm of the game. But, we have a lot of confidence in our defense, and we know we can stop them, but, sometimes you can't win them all, so I guess today we were on top.
What did you overall feel like the first half was like, for you guys? Was that as much them being able to get that stuff going with the runs, or was it you guys on offense maybe having some problems as well?
I mean, it was probably a little bit of both. They definitely were on a run, and it's hard to stop a really good team like that when they get a run like that. But it was on our offense too. We really couldn't get it going, and me and Flair and Oliver Narza, we just didn't have it tonight, and we got to step it up, or we're going to be in deep trouble coming.
Talk about the difference really between the offense in the first half, and then when things started to get going there more in the second half.
We were just moving the ball around better. I think in the first half, when they got up a couple goals and kind of got selfish, and kind of one guy wanted to do it himself, and we came in at halftime and kind of talked to our team. And we wanted to move the ball around, everybody firing, everybody moving around, doing what we do, every day in practice, and that's not what we did first half. In the second half, we put it all together. I feel like if we played like that the second half, we would have won the game.
You guys talked in the offseason about playing fast and generating offense quickly. You guys got some timer on calls right away. Was that you guys having trouble breaking down the defense, or was you guys going to be more methodical playing Hopkins?
I mean, we had some plays that we wanted to run against them, and we weren't organized at all. I feel like we didn't have a good week of practice, and kind of translated into the game. And I mean, we gotta be more organized and know the plays before we go out there if we want to win.
Any more questions for Mark Cochran? Thanks, Mark. We'll open up opening statement from Coach, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Credit to Johns Hopkins first and foremost for playing so well. I thought we were too tentative in the first half. They had a lot to do with that. I think they're just a big, strong defensive team, and it just takes a lot of work to earn your chances. And I thought they shot the ball very well early, and that was somewhat the difference. To a little bit. Those and the unsettled goals, either the fast break goals or the ones off the face-offs, just kind of killed us a little bit and put us too far behind the 8 ball. We showed some glimmer of something in the second half. Not a great deal of solace there for us with that, but we got to work hard and get to it and get better. We play a fairly unforgiving schedule. It's the nature of the beast, and we'll have plenty of other good opponents to demonstrate that we can make some progress here in the next couple of weeks.
Open it up to questions.
Obviously, a big chance to come back in the second half. Talk about some of the things you can take away positively from the way they performed in the second half.
Well, I just think there was a much greater sense of urgency offensively in the second half. I just think we did things harder. Like I said, and I do think the lack of production in the first half that Hopkins had a lot to do with that. I thought that they were really on their game early, but at both ends of the field, and I just thought we continued to play. Mostly, I thought we came out of the locker room. We had a chance to tuck our tail a little bit, and didn't do that. We came out of the locker room and played in the third quarter and kept that going almost throughout. And there were a couple we gave them that I still would have liked to have had back. But I've been saying it. I like this team. We're still in the learning stages, but it's a good group, and they work at it and they listen, and we just gotta we gotta play a more complete lacrosse game, which we certainly didn't do quite today, and our opponent had something to do with it, but we have a little less margin for error than we've had in some other years, and we just got to be a little sharper and a little bit better.
Did Hopkins push them maybe a little bit more than they had things, the pace a little bit more than they had, or just maybe be a little more aggressive in some ways on offense than what you've seen?
Well, defensively, they came out and pushed it. I mean, they're pushing the ball a little bit. The things that they created off the face-off, in some ways, there's not a lot you can do about some of that. If he wins the face-off so cleanly and all, they're a veteran team, and they've got good athletes, and they had opportunities to run, and they did, and then they hit some shots on the run, which really, really impressive shots, I thought, in the first half. That's what I was suggesting earlier, that the quality of their shooting early in the game, they didn't have a lot of quarrel with Rhodey, but I thought Hopkins really stuck some early.
What was about this, did you guys come out of the zone at the beginning of the game?
Got a little zone early, and I actually thought that was effective, but the plan was always to kind of mix the defense a little bit, and then we fell behind so early that just didn't feel like we wanted to go sit in the zone, and I actually thought about coming back to it a little bit, but it felt like we wanted to get out and play. It was important for us to do that, and so we stayed man the rest of the way.
You mentioned the fact that you like the team and that the schedule's unforgiving here, entering, the meat of this thing. Obviously, the whole thing's the meat of the thing for you guys, but do you feel like that you guys are closer to taking that step and kind of pushing through a little bit?
It's a little hard to feel great about anything right this moment, but what those guys in there are responsible for, what I'm responsible for, is that we work hard every day and try to get better, and they have essentially done that for me, and so that's all we can really ask, and we'll continue to do that. We'll get tested again in these next couple of weeks, and if we can play, if we can move toward playing a more complete lacrosse game, then we could be a much better team overall, and we're going to have an opportunity to get what we want if we can step up and like I say, just do the things that we need to do in order to be better.
How much did you miss last year? It just looked like you were unsettled, kind of on your heels a lot, all over the field in some ways early on.
I'm trying not to talk about that.
Yeah.
When especially when you're not winning the ball in the middle of the field. I mean, that was his. That was where he excelled, and the toughness factor that he brings overall to things is something that we always, drew strength from. So the fact of the matter is that everybody else, we need other guys to step up and assume that role for us, and I got guys that want to do it. They're just trying to figure out how it gets done.
Was there anything that Johnson High was doing against the first midfield, and what did that do in terms of, what did that take away from the offense? The fact that guys like Rob and Matt and Ryan were
They were determined to take away their strong hands. Some teams will have different approaches to things, and so I thought we settled for some shots in the first half. That if they're going to push Rob off to his left hand, and we just can't settle for that. We got to keep working until we can get shots that play into our strength. But I thought Hopkins did a nice job of funneling those guys in that first midfield where they wanted them to go to, I thought Bassett was good early. I thought we helped him a little bit. I thought we took some poor angle things. I thought Ryan took a couple shots that I think he would have liked to have had back. But Bassett was also on his game. I thought he played well, and it kind of stymied us a little bit.
Coach, where do you go with the goalie position from here? I know we're going to get a tough stretch with 9 goals in a row, but is it still a work in progress for you guys close to this game?
I think it's sort of a, it's sort of a day-to-day thing. We've got a couple of young guys. We like them both, and we're going to continue to work with them. And it could be that we make a change in the goal, not because of the result of any single game, but it just may be that for young guys, somebody needs to. The same way we do with Dan is that he needs to step back and catch a breath and give somebody else a shot, and we're going to have to keep looking at that from day to day.
I think you were hit with either 3 or 4 stall warnings in the first half. Did that surprise you at all? And how did you guys have a specific approach for how you try to?
There was no attempt on our part to slow the game down at all. Suggesting earlier, I think Hopkins' defense had a lot to do with that. I thought they got a bunch of big, strong kids there, and and we just had a hard time penetrating, you know, so it was really, it was nothing, it had nothing to do with what our approach was to the game, other than the fact that we were determined, relative to the last question, we were determined to get good shots. You know, we just felt like shots off the, you know, down the alley was a little bit in Bassett's wheelhouse, and so we were determined to work for good shots. Then when we weren't getting them, they put us on the clock. We tended to settle for some things that he ate up on us and pushed going the other way. So you know, it wasn't anything that we had specifically planned to slow the pace of the game. I think Hopkins had as much to do with it as anything else. I thought in the second half we had a little sharper edge to moving the ball and a little more urgency to what we were doing offensively, and we were able to get some of those better shots that we would have liked to have had early in the game. I thought we settled for some things early in the game.
Any more questions for Coach? All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks, Tom.